there was a study published in the British Medical Journal many, many years ago. It was an Australian trial. And it was titled, "Can You Outrun the Grim Reaper?" So it's quite a morbid kind of sounding one. And what they found was that if you walked faster than 5 kilometres per hour, you outran the Grim Reaper. That was the thing, like you're always ahead of them because you're moving. What they found with the people walking slower is death caught up to you. I know it's quite sort of morbid sound, but that was their measure.
If you're on the treadmill, make sure you're at minimum 5.1.
5.1. You got to keep moving forward, everyone. Keep moving forward.
Welcome to the Unicorns podcast, where we uncover the stories behind Australia's most inspiring entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers. In this episode, we're diving into the booming world of complementary medicine and wellness, a sector now worth more than $6 billion a year in Australia alone. Our guest is Dr. Brad McEwen PhD, a researcher, educator, naturopath, and one of the country's leading voices in nutritional medicine. Brad has spent over 2 decades studying the link between food, supplements, and health outcomes, and is now working with the Complementary Medicines Group on some of the most exciting clinical advances in the sector. In this episode, we'll focus on a breakthrough supplement for knee treatment. It's called UC2. It's an over-the-counter joint health product now on sale across the country that could help thousands of Australians dealing with knee pain and mobility issues. So let's get into it. Dr. Brad McEwen, PhD, welcome to the Unicorns.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the science behind UC2. For listeners who are not familiar with the product, how would you explain what it is and why it's a breakthrough in joint health?
Very good question to start off with. So UC2, so we break down the name. So it means undenatured type 2 collagen. Mm-hmm. So that's the easiest part out of the way.
That's the technical name. Okay.
That's the technical name.
Then UC2 sounds better.
UC2 sounds better. It's got that intrigueness to it.
Yes.
The difference, or why it stands out differently, I'll start, is you've all heard of collagen products on the market. There's a lot of collagen. We've been selling collagen for decades. Mm-hmm. The difference is this is a different type of collagen. Right. It's type 2. And I want you to imagine it's a rope. And you know how the rope has the different strands in it? Mm-hmm. That remains intact. While you have other collagens on the market that are hydrolyzed or had denatured, had something done to it, and it's unraveled. Right. So that way it mixes better in water. So that way you get your Instagram photos and videos. It absorbs well in the body and it looks good. Mm. But what you're doing is you're denaturing it. You're breaking it down, which is a good thing, but it's also not going to do what the UC2 does. And that's the difference there. The UC2 maintains its helix structure. So we're going to talk a little bit about biochemistry and science. So it's a lot of fun, and we'll get through it for the next Sunday, 4 or 5 hours. I think you said we have for the podcast.
I don't know if we've got that long.
So we have a little bit of time to go through it. So, but the idea is you have the different strands, and I don't have a model with me, but I want you to imagine you got the rope. As I said, it remains intact. On that rope are these little discs called epitopes. And these are the biologically active components that are not on other collagens. Mm-hmm. So you ingest it, whether it's a capsule, a powder, for example, it's in a formula or on its own. Yes. It goes through the digestive tract, goes through the stomach into the small intestines. There it gets presented to a certain part of the digestive tract called the Peyer's patches. Now, this is your sort of immune regulatory switch in the body.
Okay.
So you would have heard of, celiac disease, gluten intolerance, food allergies, etc.
I have, yes.
This is the site where it picks it up.
Okay.
So this says this is foreign. I do not like this. Then you get a reaction to it. Bloating, indigestion, severe cases, diarrhea, vomiting. Like the body's trying to get rid of what it is. Mm-hmm. But on the good side of it, the body recognizes it as this is a good thing. So it recognizes those epitopes as being like a natural form, and it presents itself to the immune system there. The Peyer's patches says, okay, welcome, open the gate. It's the nicest way to sort of think about it. Open the gate, it drags it into the body where it then presents itself further. And then the Peyer's patches, the immune system, sometimes referred to as gut-associated lymphoid tissue or GALT. So some of the viewers may know what that term is. This is the next part of the absorption process. It gets picked up there, and the body says, right, you're good. I'm now going to present you. There's a lot of presenting. I'm now going to present you to my internal immune system. And that's called the T cells. Mm-hmm. And the T cells, there's all different types. There's the toxic ones, which means they're there to help break down viruses, bacteria. We need those. Then you have the ones called the T regulatory cells or regulatory T cells. Gets used both ways. And these T regs are sort of naive infant type cells. And by presenting the UC2 to those cells, activates their process. And then they say, okay, I recognize you, but by the way, you're very similar to the collagen in my body. So I'm going to take you there.
I see. Because I was going to ask, how do you know, or how does this know where to go? I'm putting that in a layman's term, but doctor, help me out here.
Yeah, it's very scientific, but in the easiest way to explain it, it just knows.
It just knows.
It recognizes it and says, you are a type 2 collagen, undenatured, so I recognize you as what you are. I then, another presentation, I then present you to the type 2 collagen in my joints.
Right.
And that's in the knee joint, finger, elbow, any kind of joint, spine, as long as there's joint, and then there's cartilage protecting the ends.
Yes.
Because otherwise you have bone on bone. The cartilage is there as a shock absorber, as a protectant.
Yes.
It then says, okay, this is a normal process. You are UC2. Here's type 2 collagen. You're matching up with the signals. Right. Therefore, you're going to now do this. And the Treg cells say, I've got some inflammation, I've got some damage, I've got processes going on that are normal, but have gone too far. So you've got an aching knee or something else like that. It then releases these anti-inflammatory molecules, interleukins, etc. I won't go through all the details, but these get released into that joint tissue and dampen the flame. So right now the joints are on fire because there's pain, inflammation. It dampens that process, and then from there it starts on the healing factors.
And so in the trials, and we'll get to the research and how it all works, but what is the evidence about how long it takes to become effective for a patient who is potentially suffering?
Patient's a good word. In today's fast-paced society, we're not patient. We're patients, but not patient. It's sort of, people want it to work straight away. And people are used to taking a painkiller, for example, and it will work within X amount of time. I want to remind you that joint probably took 5 years or 10 years or 2 months to get to where it was. Yes. So it's not going to happen overnight, as the old saying is, but it will happen. A lot of the clinical research is showing 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 6 months, 12 months, depending on the severity and what joint it is. A lot of the research is on the knee joint, and I'll go through some of that in a moment. But it depends on how long it's there and the severity.
Right. And so how is this product different to what else has been on the market previously, like glucosamine?
Good question. So there's a lot of joint products on the market because it's the...
I've taken some of them.
I took some a while back when I had an injury. I'd like to say it was a sports injury, but it wasn't. I'm not an athlete, I'm a mathlete. So I took it for an injury that was not from sport. Yes. So I want you to start thinking about, there's a whole array of products on the market. You can go into any health food store, pharmacy, and there's sections, dedicated sections. And they all do different things. There's simple things like manganese for your knees. I like that because it rhymes. It's really good. Glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, which is methyl sulfonyl-methane. That's a more technical one. And they all work different ways. And that's the difference here. So I'll talk briefly about the different ways.
Please.
So the collagen on the market, with the intro, that there goes to collagen. So if you go and have a normal 5 gram dose, whack it in a smoothie or whatever, it goes straight to the joints and provides the building blocks, straight as collagen. When you look at the glucosamine, it's part of the glycosaminoglycans family. So we're going science for a second, and that's your GAG or your GAG complex, glycosaminoglycans. They are the building blocks. So I want you to imagine now we got Lego. People know your Lego.
Yes.
You got your different Lego blocks, for example, and that's your joint. The collagen, glucosamine, MSM, chondroitin, etc. They're Lego blocks. And they go there and build up the joint.
Right.
That's the exciting part of that.
Mm-hmm.
UC2 is part of the director of those Lego blocks. That's how it's slightly different. We need the building blocks. So if you were to take, UC2 with any of these other products, you're going to get a 1 + 1 = 3 effect. You're going to get a synergy. So you'll get a better result. However, there's research and a couple of clinical trials going on right now that I can't talk about because they're in the final stages. They show that the UC2 outperformed glucosamine and chondroitin, for example, which is pretty good because it's only a very small dose. It's 40 milligrams, while the glucosamine's 1,500.
Yes, so that 40 milligram dose seems very small. Is that enough?
Short answer, yes. Scientific answer, we'll go through more in a moment. But 40 milligrams has been the clinical research dose that they found works.
Okay.
And that's the exciting thing. So when you look at a product on the market, check the 40 milligrams for UC2. It could be 20 twice or 40 once mathematically. And that's the dosage that you're looking for. And it comes down to those little discs that I talked about. It's the way how the body interacts. And I want you to imagine now it's pulling and dragging it across because it recognizes that type 2 collagen more effectively, while the building blocks need to be broken down from the big Lego block into the smaller pieces, absorbed across into the system, and then rebuilt back together in the joint again.
So how does this product actually physically reduce joint pain?
It does so with those signaling pathways. So when we have pain, it's directed by several different things. Inflammation, oxidative stress, and we've got little pain sensors all around the body.
Yep.
So if you think about it, touching anywhere on the body, you'll feel touch. And if you do it hard enough, you'll feel pain. There's all these different receptors. And the joints have similar things, different receptor points. The inflammatory markers, so inflammation itself creates a fire or oxidative stress, which then puts more fuel onto the fire, heating it up. And if you put your hand near a flame, you get pain, you feel heat. That's what's happening in the joints, for example, the muscles, bones, tissue. And that's an interesting process because we wanted to do that to start with. The fire is good because it helps clear out the debris or damage.
Okay.
It's like a cleanser.
Yep.
But we only need that for a short amount of time. So let's just say you and I are going for a walk and we trip or we twist our ankle or do something else like that. The first thing the body does, it gives you pain.
Yes.
Stop doing it. Stop walking. It's trying to tell you. And then it swells it up to like a bandage. It actually builds swelling around it to help protect it. But what do we do in our fast-paced world? We keep walking on it. We keep doing things. We ignore it.
Yes.
Take a painkiller or something. We ignore it.
Yes.
And that's going to help fuel the fire more. So rather than let the fire do its job, clear out the debris and work with the wound healing process, it goes to the next stage, which is the chronic flame. It's a chronic fire. It keeps going.
We've all probably experienced that.
And we've all done that. And you could have been, 10 foot tall, bulletproof, 18-year-old, where you could be a weekend warrior, that kind of thing, playing footy or something else like that, or just getting up walking in the morning because injuries can happen at any time. And that's the thing. It's an injury. It's trying to tell you to stop.
So you touched on the clinical trial. So research is continuing. What did the trials tell us, and what impressed you the most about some of the results?
Some of the results. What impressed me the most out of all these trials is the real world. And I'll talk about those in a moment. So each one of these studies talks about the inflammatory mediators, the pain mediators, so the biochemistry in the body and how it works as a process. Then they go further. So, for example, one of the studies measured if you drop something on the ground and you squatted to pick it up. Everyone does it every day. But it measured the fact that, 30, 60, 90 days, for example, like you squatted down, picked it up, and you had less pain after 60 days. And that's pretty cool. That's what I want. It measured things like that. Going up and down stairs. We all struggle behind someone sometime. It's like, come on, they're walking slowly, they're struggling. People who were taking the UC2 versus placebo, because these are placebo trials as well.
Yes.
So you got people taking the dummy or sugar pill versus the active UC2.
And you never know in the trials, do you?
No,
you don't.
They're double blind, and that's the good thing about it. So a double blind placebo controlled trial using the full phrase, is the gold standard. And what that is the person giving it. So let's just say you're in the trial. I'm giving you a product in a bottle. You don't know what it is because I just gave it to you. Yeah. I don't know what it is because I could turn around and go,
mate, yeah.
And you're going,
with the wink,
you're like,
the good stuff.
I'm on the good stuff, but I don't know, so I can't do that. And that's really good. The statistician knows because it's called, UC 58421-5 or something. It's got some cool name on it.
Okay.
You don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So there's your gold standard that it's measured against. And then the placebo group, they'll always have a slight difference of feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because it's a placebo effect.
Of course.
You get given something, you'll go, okay, but it's just the way how you feel. It's no active ingredient in it. But with the UC2, the comparator difference was quite significant. The walking speed was much faster. The step speed. So there's, you go to the gym and you step up, back on those blocks.
Yes.
That's a test.
Yep.
So they see how fast you can do that compared to baseline or when you first started the trial, 30, 60, 90, 120 days, etc. So going down the stairs is another one. Picking object off the floor, squatting down, recovery from sports. So they're the gold standards. There's another couple of trials. There's one published in India where people knew what they're taking. So that's like an open label study. Okay. You knew what it was.
Yes.
And they didn't test it against placebo. They just tested it against themselves. As in, after a period of time, how did you feel? What the difference, the step test and everything else like that, the walking speed. That's another very good test. There was a study published in the British Medical Journal many, many years ago. It was an Australian trial. And it was titled, Can You Outrun the Grim Reaper? So it's quite a morbid kind of sounding one. But what it was the Christmas issue of the BMJ. They always have like funny articles.
Yeah.
And what they found was that if you walked faster than 5 kilometres per hour, you outran the Grim Reaper. That was the thing. Like you're always ahead of them because you're moving. What they found with the people walking slower is death caught up to you. I know it's quite sort of morbid sound, but that was their measure.
If you're on the treadmill, make sure you're at minimum 5.1.
5.1. You got to keep moving forward, everyone. Keep moving forward. And that's the idea of measuring. So that way they can, at the beginning of the study, they can say this person was walking at 4 kilometres per hour on the treadmill, for example. And then afterwards it was 5 or 5.1 or 5.2, whatever.
Yep.
Any change in the positive is what you want to see. You want to get more steps in. You want to walk a longer distance before pain because that's another test they do. They get you to walk normal pace and then they say, please let us know when you feel pain.
Yeah.
So you're just stepping along. One study found they got an extra 217 steps before pain came in. The placebo was like minus 500 in some people. So it actually was a shorter distance with the pain. So it was nothing actually working in your favour. And
were the trials all to do with the knee joint?
A lot of trials are to do with the knee joint because that's the easiest one to measure.
Yes.
Because that's the one that most people have a problem with.
Of course.
And you can isolate it as well. It's like it's your left knee, your right knee. You can actually test it as well easier. Now, there are other trials out on normal musculoskeletal joints, for example, but the knee joint's the easiest.
And how quickly do users typically feel the difference?
In our inpatient world?
Yes.
In our inpatient world, I like to see results relatively quickly because then people stick to it.
Yep.
The results of the trials are showing 30 days, 60 days. Again, it depends on the severity that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But it's around about a month or so. Now, people may notice something in the first week or so, as in not as tender or just, like that weird feeling that something's better, but you can't put your finger on it.
Yes.
You don't know what it is, but you feel different. And that's the process starting to work. The fire is being fanned down. So you're getting to that point. But for the longer term benefits, you need that month by month. So stay in.
Is this something that typically, if you're getting relief, it's recommended that you've now got to take this for the rest of your life?
I don't believe in anything forever.
Yes.
With that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's not going to hurt.
Okay.
For example, even with glucosamine and other nutrients, you can keep taking them longer term. I'm going to say to you, it's based on the severity.
Yeah, okay.
So if you come to me and you're at a 8 out of 10 pain, 2 out of 10 walking speed, like everything was in the in the
Not
red.
good. Yeah.
Not good. And then you came back to me after the period of time. Your pain's now 4 out of 10. You're a 7 out of 10 walking, like everything's improving. I'm going to say to you to keep taking it for a bit longer. Come back again in another 3 to 6 months, for example, and test it. We might go and get some CT scans, X-rays, look at the physical as well, not just how you're feeling.
There's not as much inflammation around the joint. You can see that that's looking a lot better on the scan.
That's it. And you might come to me in a year's time, for example, and ask the same questions and then say to me, it's only during winter it plays up because, you get the cold and you get the feelings.
Yeah.
And I'd turn around and say, well, okay, winter's typically June, July, August in Australia, like with how cold it is, particularly right now in the morning.
Yes.
I'd say to you, maybe start taking it end of May. Yeah. Taking again for a few months just to replenish. There's no harm or problem with giving a top up.
Right.
So, but could you take it every day, answering your question, for the next 5, 10, 20 or so years? Yes, you could.
Are there any real world examples that you know of where people have been taking the product and it's worked to the extent that they're now active again, they're enjoying their fitness regime, or they're back running, for example, playing golf, playing tennis, whatever it is? What can you tell us?
Real world examples. A lot of them you just gave. So a lot of people go for a walk and they say, I managed to walk longer. I felt better. I had a faster speed. I got one of these famous watches and you can measure how long it took you to go the 1 kilometre, etc.
Yes.
So people are giving those differences. People are going back to sport more easily. Golf, netball, those kind of twisty, turny things take a little bit longer because you are twisting, like particularly if you're doing it wrong, you're twisting the knee joints a little bit more, so it will actually take longer for that process. I use truck drivers as a good example for a lot of things.
What a great example, because they're in the cabin all, for hours and hours at a time, and when they get out, you can imagine,
you've got to get those joints going.
Yes.
And more flexibility in that case, because that's the other one I wanted to talk about was flexibility. Mm. So we got the flexibility without knocking the mic. You got the flexibility and extension. A lot of the clinical trials showed, and real world, as in talking to people, they're able to flex their arms or their legs better, like their knee joint. So in the case you're supposed to be able to go like that, for example, pretend there's muscle here. You're supposed to be able to go to a certain direction and then extend to 0. Mm. A lot of people with joint inflammation might only be able to do that.
Really?
Because it's lots of inflammation, lots of swelling. So they actually say, I'm able to stretch my leg out easily. I'm able to bend it easily. I'm able to get out of the cabin easily.
Yes.
Getting in and out of a car or getting out of a chair. That's difficult for some people. You can watch them, they're pushing themselves up using their arms because their hips and their knees, for example, are playing up. They rise more easily.
So let me ask you this, Doctor. Without a product like this, and if you've got a dodgy knee and it's not getting better, what are your options? Because I would think it's either, potentially as you're getting older, lose weight, there might be less pressure around the joint, or, steroids, some injections, or you're under the knife with an orthopedic surgeon fixing things. So if you're not taking something like this, you're sort of stuck a bit, aren't you?
You are, and that's good examples that you gave. People either do nothing, so they just sit in the chair all day and have their laptop here, their TV there. They don't really get up except for eating and going to the toilet and going to bed, for example.
Yes.
They're very sedentary, they call it. You're just sitting there like Norm on the couch, for people old enough to remember Norm on the couch on the TV ads.
I remember Norm.
So remember Norm just sitting there.
Yes.
So you're going to be like that. You're going to be like that. The other option is the corticosteroids, the injections, and that's just going to fan the flame a little bit down. But then it's just going to rebound, so you have to keep doing it. That's the negative there. You can strap it, which is going to put the pressure on there, like the swelling that I mentioned in the early days. So the swelling could be sort of held in place, but it's like a Band-Aid or bandage effect now. You're not really helping it, you're just holding it in place. And then, of course,
a bit of physio maybe?
Physio work will do. Massage will work as well, because we'll get that flexion, extension, we'll get the movement going.
Yep.
The massage and physio will help clear out the inflammatory side.
Yes.
And again, the final stage would be surgery to clean it out
Yes.
Because they'll clean out
Yes.
the debris. And then the real final stage that we don't want to go to is replacement. Because replacements still, even in today's world, are not lifelong. It can only be 5 to 10 years, and then you have to go and do it again.
Why do they run out? Why do they just conk out?
I think it sounds funny, but bones are really good and strong with the shock absorber. When we use metal, it just doesn't seem to...
Doesn't work as well.
It doesn't work as well, and you think it should because metal should be stronger than bone. But in the case of it's the flexion of the bone, I want you to imagine you're in the forest and you've got these beautiful trees that are nice, flexible and moving. That's our joints. And then you've got the petrified tree that's just sitting there and just breaks very easily. That's your bones in some cases, osteoporosis or whatever. That's sort of the effect that I'm thinking with these metals. It's the bone on bone or the metal on metal. It just can't seem to work. And it's something that if you can think ahead and say, that's my option, going surgery, going serious for a second here, but then trace back and think about my injuries only just occurred. I'm feeling pain now. I want to do something now. Now's the time. Don't wait till next month, next year, etc. to start on, it will get better. Well, yes, it will, but how much better? So if you start with the UC2, diet, lifestyle, lifestyle medicine, going for walks, getting physio, doing all these things, good sleep. Sleep's restorative. So it allows the process of healing. And just, non-weight bearing exercise, going for a swim, walking in the pool is always good. But you also need the weight bearing as well to help with the muscle. So there's all these different things you can do to support the joints, support the muscles, support you, but also support the UC2. Because it's doing its job because it's recognised, like I mentioned earlier. It's doing its thing.
Like, help me out here.
it's like, help it out. If we can do a synergistic, 1 + 1 = 3.
Yes. So UC2 is being sold in Australia. The Complementary Medicines Group has it under the brand Essential Nutrition.
Yes.
What was the innovation process like behind the scenes getting this product together?
Good question. It's always trying to find something that's different. Like how we started, there's all different types of collagen products and joint products. How can we do something different? And that's the mechanism. That immune regulatory, it's called oral tolerance, the way the body tolerates things and works in that process that I mentioned earlier. We then coupled it up with a bit of vitamin C and silica. And it seems very simple because it is. Vitamin C, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, connective tissue enhancer, collagen enhancer. It does a lot of that work. Silica, everyone knows it for hair, skin, nails, bone, tissue, all those kind of things. So it works with the cellular matrix. So it's like the knitting of the fibers.
Okay. So this is an over-the-counter supplement.
Yes.
You don't need to go to the GP and get a script for that. Why is that?
Good question. There are a number of different products out in the market that are practitioner only, such as naturopaths, nutritionists, health practitioner, or medical prescribed.
Yes.
In this case, this is a nutritional product, and it's not required to have a script.
Right.
You can go to a doctor and have all your scans and tests and everything done to confirm it, but you don't need the script to actually purchase it.
So this falls under the category of it's a health supplement.
Complementary medicine, health supplement.
Yes. So tell me about the size and scale and shape of that market more broadly, the supplements market in Australia.
The supplements market is massive. $6.2 billion. So that's with a B, billion. There's a lot involved, a lot of research and a lot of education as well to do with that process. Now, the market's still not saturated. People think there's a lot of products on the market, there's a lot of joint formulas, there's a lot of, energy, stress, sleep, digestion. There's all these different products in the market, but it's still not saturated at that point.
Okay.
And what makes it different, or what's exciting, is that we're continuously innovating, finding new ingredients, or one of my favourites is finding new ingredients or new ways on how to do something.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
So the new ways, for example, if you think of passion flower, it's a really nice herb for stress, anxiety,
What's it called? Passion flower.
Passion flower. Brings passion back into your life. It's one of my favourite.
I've heard of passion fruit, Doctor. I haven't heard of passion flower.
So this is the flower from the same plant.
Right, okay.
And that works with all those processes. It's also useful for pain, spasms, aches and pains. So could you use it along with UC2? The answer is yes, because we're using it in a different way. Glucosamine for the joints,
yes,
it's well known. I also use it for digestive disorders because it helps build the building blocks again in the mucosal layer of the digestive system. So it's understanding the biochemistry, the anatomy, the physiology, the sciences behind these things. And that's why the market is so innovative. I was trying to find a different word rather than just using innovative all the time.
It works well enough.
Works, yeah. And that's the difference with the Australian market. We have a lot of ingredients, a lot of products to work with. It's understanding how they work and how you can apply it. That's what makes it truly innovative.
And so what's your take on the broader move towards preventative health in Australia, in a complementary medicine form and keeping people active for longer?
Good point. So preventive health, preventive medicine, preventive complementary medicine, it comes with all different names.
Yes.
We can work with a person, with an industry, with all Australians in prevention in many different ways. So you can prevent something from happening or prevent it from getting worse. Because let's just say we have John or average Joe, just someone, and they've had a heart attack. So they've already had an event. Can we prevent a heart attack? It's already happened. It's happened. But what can we do for the future? We can work on a preventative measure, diet, lifestyle, nutritional medicine, herbal medicine, medical fields, to lessen the risk of it happening again and work on the recovery. Are we preventing it from happening? Maybe not. But we're preventing it from getting worse. That can be the joints as well. Memory, cognition, and other areas to look at. You know, we always want to be sharp until, you know, we don't want to go wandering in that field and not coming back kind of vibe. That's the serious side of Alzheimer's, for example.
Yes.
Because you just wander off and the brain's not processing effectively. Can we prevent that? Maybe not. But we're looking at a lot of avenues right now where we can look at the cell-to-cell communication in the brain, the structure of the brain, and working with the cognitive faculties more easily.
I'd like to touch briefly on your professional background. You've got a PhD. You've spent many, many years in and around health. What is your role at the Complementary Medicines Group, and what is the Complementary Medicines Group?
All very good questions. So my background is I'm a naturopath, nutritionist, herbalist, educator and researcher. So I try and, I love what I do. So I try and get the best of everything and piece it all together. And along the way, I started formulating products. My first product was formulated back in 1999. So all the way last century, if we can look back that far.
Showing your age.
Yeah, showing my age. I was a Doogie Howser. And funny enough, when I started working at Complementary Medicines Group, 20 years later, that same product came back to me for reformulation. So it lasted in the market for 20 years. I've always been interested in formulating. As a naturopath and nutritionist, you're formulating with different herbs and different ingredients specifically for the person. And I love what I do, and that's what makes it easy. Where I come into play with Complementary Medicines Group, I'm the head of products and innovation. So I work, with customers, work on their formulation, work with their ideas. Most of the time, I make their dreams become a reality. And sometimes I have to be the dream breaker. Where it's like, that really can't be done that way, so let's do it this way. I want it done that way. Well, it can't be done that way. You can't, but certain things, it sounds funny, but 99% of the dreams are realised in that area. And I'm the chief formulator of most brands that I can't mention due to,
of course,
of legals and everything. But most of the brands you see on the shelf, I've had some role in formulating products for. And it's just fun seeing, formulating a product, seeing an idea, seeing the person's face light up when it's going to happen and get it excited. And you have people ring up, I've sold my first bottle. And you go, wow, sold my 100th bottle, 10,000th bottle. It doesn't matter. I just get excited because the person's excited about their dream becoming a reality. And that's the exciting thing at Complementary Medicines Group. We work with small brands, large brands, mum and dad brands, if you can call it, influencers, all different practitioners, etc. Work with all different people wanting their products to the market. And that's the exciting thing. We get to work with all these different types of people and help them realise their dreams.
We're out of time. Let's quickly touch on where you can get this product. I've heard the podcast. I've got a sore knee. I want to give it a go. What are my options? Where do I go?
Where do you go? Go Vita is one of the first places. Yes. So the Go Vita health food store in your local area, or you can buy it online from there. Mm-hmm. The other site is essentialnutrition.net.au, where you can buy it direct. But Go Vita is a much easier place for a lot of people, and go in there and they can buy their glucosamine or their vitamin C or other different products at the same time. So it's widely available throughout Australia.
Fantastic. Dr. Brad McEwen from the Complementary Medicines Group. Fantastic having you in the studio today. Thank you for your insights and all the very best with your job as Head of Research at the Complementary Medicines Group.
Thank you.